بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ما بعد. So tonight we move into the next section, inshallah, from important lessons for every Muslim. And this is according to the book Ad-Dars Al-Thani Ashar. This is the 12th lesson. 12th lesson. Which is page 257 if you have the book, page 257. Page 257. Inshallah, the conditions of wudu. The conditions of wudu. طيب. قال رحمه الله, Sheikh bin Baz رحمه الله, he says, الدرس الثاني عشر شروط الوضوء. And he goes on to mention شروط الوضوء هي 10. He says there are 10 conditions of wudu. Now, firstly, you need to know firstly what it means. What does it mean if something is a condition to something? Because wudu is not the only thing with conditions, right? The salah has conditions. So, what is a condition? What does it mean Islamically that something is a condition for something else? A condition.
Something before that actual act.
J. It's an action or an act that you do before you actually start the actual thing that you're ready to do. If that makes sense. But hey, I'm with you. Something you do before you do something else. Like, give me an example.
Like the action of wudu, the action of the prayer is wudu. So the actual action is the prayer,
Mm-hmm.
and wudu is the condition for the prayer.
J. Wudu is a condition for the salah. Meaning before we start praying, we have to make sure we make wudu. And the other conditions that come along with it, right? That come along with wudu. So the salah has conditions. From the condition of the salah is wudu. Like, what happens if I go to pray and I don't have wudu?
The action itself, which is the prayer, is
Huh?
canceled out.
It's canceled out, it's void. Do I have to pray over? And I have to pray again. So basically, if I don't fulfill the condition, right, then the action coming after that is not acceptable. It's not valid. It doesn't count. So if I go to make salat and I don't have wudu, I didn't make wudu first, I don't have wudu and I pray, then in reality I have to pray again because that salat doesn't count, right? So the condition is the same here. If these conditions are not in place before a person makes wudu for the salat, not for the salat, if these conditions are not in place before a person makes wudu, then the wudu is not valid. The wudu doesn't count, which means they have to make wudu over again. They have to make wudu all over again. They can't pray like that. Which is important to know because just like it's conditions for the salat, it's conditions for wudu. It's conditions for the shahada, right? And other things that are mentioned are they're conditions for in the deen. So if the condition is not fulfilled, then whatever is connected to doesn't count. He said there are 10 conditions for wudu. 10 conditions for wudu. The first three, and let's see, which starts on page 258. They're grouped together. It says the first, second, and the third conditions, right? Islam, al-aql, wa tamyiz. Sound Islam, sound intellect, and reaching the age of discernment. He said before that we have to know لابد من معرفة الأحكام المتعلقة بالطهارة من حيث شروطها. The first three conditions for the wudu to be correct, right? That a person has to be a Muslim, a person has to have sound intellect, they're not out of their mind, right? They're in their sound, normal state of mind, right? And thirdly, a person has reached the age of discernment in order for the wudu to be valid, Now, these three conditions, and he said there are 10, so these three are special, right? Do y'all remember why these three are special?
All the acts of worship have to start with.
There you go. All acts of worship, these are connected to all acts of worship. That a person is a Muslim, that a person is in their right state of mind, and that a person has reached the age of tamyiz. What is the age of discernment, as it says in the book? What is that word on page 258? What does that mean, the age of discernment? Meaning, if a person doesn't meet these conditions, the wudu is not correct. If the wudu is not correct, the salat is not going to count. So what is the age of discernment, at tamyiz? What is it? The age 10?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's lower based on the hadith, what the process of order each.
Oh, yeah.
But I think is it 7 or 8?
Is that a question or answer? The age of discernment. So yeah, we got two ages. Sisters, the age of discernment. Anybody remember? Huh? 10? Later. Shit. 7? Oh, they changed to 7. Later. Puberty. Oh, that's different. Puberty is different, right? Puberty and discernment is not the same thing. And that's important. Puberty, in this word here, tamyiz, which says reaching the age of discernment. It starts at 7 based on that hadith. The other matter scholars of Islam said that the age is 7 of discernment. Meaning, at that age, they're able to distinguish what's right from what's wrong. Not that they reach the age of puberty, though. So it doesn't mean that at the age of 7, it's obligatory on them to pray, for example, right? But at the age of 7, we should start at the least, the latest, start commanding them. If we haven't been already teaching our children before that, which we should be. But by the time they reach 7, we should definitely be teaching them how to make wudu, how to pray. The longer we wait, the more of a problem it's going to be later for us and for the child. So this age is the age that the child is able to distinguish what's right from what's wrong, right? And the fact that the child knows what's right from wrong doesn't mean that they've reached the age of puberty. Doesn't necessarily mean that, right? So they reach the age of puberty based on the signs, Islamically, the signs that a child has when they reach the age of puberty. So at tamyiz is the age of 7. So firstly, he says, if the condition is that you have to be a Muslim for the wudu to be correct, then that means the wudu, if a non-Muslim made wudu, then that wudu is not correct, right? Why? He says, this is because, as he says, amaluhu ayyan kan, any action that the non-Muslim does regarding tahara, whether it's wudu, salat, zakat, all of those things, as he says, are batilun wa habitun. All of those things will be considered I didn't translate that here. Okay. It's not translated here. So yeah, he says all of those actions from tahara, whether it's wudu, salat, zakat, for the non-Muslim, all of those things, if they made those or did those acts of worship, then that action would be rejected. The action is not acceptable because there's a more important action that they haven't fulfilled. Something more important than the wudu for the non-Muslim. For the one who's not a Muslim, there's something more important that they need to be concerned about than wudu, right? Or the salat, the things that come before that, which is the shahada itself, And this is based on the ayah that he brings where Allah says, وَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ بِالْإِيمَانِ فَقَدْ حَبِطَ عَمَلُهُ وَهُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ in Surah Al-Ma'idah, where Allah says, and whoever disbelieves in faith, his work has become worthless. Those actions are worthless. And then hereafter, it will be from the losers. The most important thing for the person who is not Muslim is to become a Muslim, to take Shahada. This is more important than them fasting Ramadan. Sometimes we're eager for people to become Muslims, so we want to encourage them to fast with us on Ramadan, right? To fast with us on Ramadan. And that fast doesn't do them any benefit. What is better for them is to accept the Shahada, to take the Shahada. The second condition, the aql, which is the sound intellect, meaning a person is in their right state of mind. They're not out of their mind. And out of your mind doesn't mean necessarily crazy, right? Crazy means somebody's just acting crazy. But it could be a disability that a person has. A person has a disability, right? And other things, drugs can take a person out of their right state of mind. Drugs, liquor, alcohol can take a person out of their right state of mind. So a person has to be in their sound state of mind. They have their aql. He says, فَلِأَنَّ الْمَجْنُونَ مَرْفُوعٌ عَنْهُ الْقَلَمُ, that the person who does not have their right state of mind, the person who is mentally challenged or who has a disability mentally, that the pen is lifted from that person. What does that mean, the pen is lifted from a person? If the pen is lifted from a person, how does that affect them Islamically? What does that mean? They're not held accountable for their actions. Meaning, it's possible that a person, the term we know is handicapped or mentally challenged, or they have a disability, right? And they don't pray, right? We know not praying is from the kabbalah, it's from the major sins, even reach the level of kufr, disbelief. That person who has that disability, right, they're not held accountable for what we know to be sins. It doesn't mean though, if they did something like destroy somebody's property, if they harm somebody, it doesn't mean it wouldn't be a repercussion that they just scot free, right? But there's a specific way that will be dealt with. So the person who is not in their right state of mind, what's the problem with them if they go to make wudu? Well, not the problem with them. What will be the problem with their wudu? The person who doesn't have their sound intellect, they're not in their right state of mind. What will be the problem with them making the wudu? The intention. The intention, right? On top of the pen being lifted from them, they're not able to form the proper intention. It says the third one, what tamyiz? The tamyiz is basically that age is connected to number 2. The Prophet ﷺ said that the pen is lifted from the person, as it says, the majnoon, the person who is not in their right state of mind, also from as-sabi hatta yumayyiz, also from the child until that child has reached the age of tamyiz, discernment. In the hadith on page 258, it says the pen has been lifted from 3 people, from the sleeper, the person asleep, until he wakes up, right? So you're not held accountable. Meaning held accountable, y'all, doesn't mean that nothing. Because some people sleepwalk, right? That's real. Some people do stuff in their sleep. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're saying. They talking in their sleep. They say stuff while they're sleeping. Well, I'm sorry. Say stuff while you're sleeping, right? Husband started tripping because she said something she wasn't supposed to say in her sleep, or he said something and he was asleep, right? The sleeper is not held accountable for what he says or what she says until they wake up. Now, if they wake up and say the same thing, that's a different story. But yeah, also, it says here, the minor until he matures. The minor until he matures. What does that mean? The minor until he matures. Just based on what's there.
one you just mentioned, the one who has reached the age of 20.
Ayo, the one who hasn't reached the age of tamyiz, which is what? What's the age of tamyiz? 7. Tayyib. If we didn't discuss that today, the age of 7, what tamyiz is and what puberty is, what does this look like it means? The minor until he matures. How does a person sitting home in a house reading this understand that? I mean, a minor is a kid. That could be what age though? It could be anything between, right? It could be, no, minor, 16 is a minor. If I'm home reading, I don't know anything about tamyiz, and I'm not reading Arabic, we're just saying the minor until he matures. So a 16-year-old is not held accountable for their actions. 16 is a minor, 17 is a minor, right? If we understand it like this, which is just according to the translation, which we're not going to go with, because tamyiz is more than just a minor. Tamyiz is that age, from the age of 7 starts tamyiz. Okay, anything, any child, 6, 5, 4, 3, those children at that age, they're not to be leading the salah, right? Even if it's a voluntary prayer, and that the actions that they do, those actions are considered, they don't have an intention even when they make those actions, but we should still encourage them to do it and start teaching them early. But they haven't reached the age of tamyiz where we'll be able to count for them. Tayyib. And then it says, and the insane until he comes back to his senses or recovers. The person who has lost their state of mind, their normal state of mind until they come back or they recover. Tayyib. So the age of discernment or the age of 7, this person or this child is not held accountable also. So if that's the case, then they don't have an intention. They're not able to yaqil an-niyyah, right? And every act of worship needs an intention. Clear? Every act of worship needs an intention. Tayyib. Ar-rabi'u, number 4, the 4th condition for the wudu to be correct, shurut al-wudu, right? Is that a person must have a niyyah. They must have the intention to make wudu. وَالنِّيَّةُ شَرْطٌ فِي الطَّهَارَةِ وَفِي الصَّلَاةِ وَفِي كُلِّ عِبَادَةٍ, which is important. The intention is important, is a must, is a condition for every act of worship. All worship needs an intention. All worship needs an intention based on the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, that all actions are by intentions. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَىٰ, every person will be rewarded based on their intention, which is an important hadith that many of the scholars have started off their books with. That hadith itself, like Sahih Bukhari and other books, hadith of Imam al-Nawawi, before the hadith of Nawawi, to show how important the niyyah is, that the intention and the example that the Prophet ﷺ gave in that hadith is that a person made hijrah to a land. Hijrah, if we don't know, hijrah is that a person packs up and leaves their land. They drop everything, as we say, and they move to another land. That's a question mark. They don't know anything about the land. But a person does that Islamically, fleeing to save their deen. Right? So a person may do that to go there to save their deen. Right? Another person does the same thing, but they go there not to really save their deen because their deen may have not been in danger. Or maybe their deen was in danger, but the reason they left was to marry a woman, to get married. And once they do that and they make that move, each person is rewarded based on their intention, which is important. We don't have to move and go anywhere. Every action we do now from our worship carries the same rule. Everything is based on the niyyah, which, where is the place of the intention, y'all? In the heart. So how is it when a brother says something, we can explain somebody's words away, and so no, he really meant this. No, she really meant this. And that's what she said, but that ain't what she meant. How do we get to do that? That's a problem. Right? Unless somebody came out and said and explained to you what they meant. All we know is what's on the surface. And if it needs explanation, who should be the one to explain it? It's the person who said it. We scared to go back to him and have him explain it though. Now we got to go back and question him. Excuse me, if you listen, you said such and such. I'm kind of confused about what you said. I don't understand that. It's not really clear what you meant by that. Or the sisters for the same thing, right? We just carry it and say, well, you know what? He must have meant this. No, because if he If he would have said this, if he meant that. If she really meant that, she wouldn't have said that. She would have, and then it caused a bunch of problems. Like, so the mahal, the place of the niyyah, the intention is in the heart, and the person does not have to say. We don't have to stand in front of the mirror and say, Bismillah ar-Rahim, I intend to make wudu. Right? We don't have to make a talaffuz. We don't have to make a talaffuz. We don't have to pronounce the wudu in the mirror or at the sink. And many of the ulama said this is innovation, bid'ah, to pronounce the intention, as many of the scholars have mentioned, is bid'ah, which is from the major sins. Tayyib. Meaning, if a person washed all of the parts of wudu, right, in order, doing everything correctly, but the intention was not to make wudu, does the wudu count? The wudu count, or does the wudu not count? Huh? It doesn't count. Count? No. Shit. It doesn't count as wudu. What does it count as? They washed up. They washed up. MashaAllah. Right? They washed up. But it doesn't count as a wudu that they can stand up and pray with. Right? Not that they didn't wash the body parts. They might have washed the body parts correct. But the intention was not to make wudu. The intention was, it's 95 degrees outside. I gotta cool off. I'm gonna go throw some water on me. And just so happen they do all the body parts. Or they somewhere where, I'll forget that. We come back to that later. They didn't make the wudu, so it doesn't count. It doesn't count, meaning they can't pray like that. They will have to go back and make a wudu with the intention in order to make the salah. Al-Khamis, number 5, it says استصحاب حكمها بأن لا ينوي قطعها حتى تتم طهارته. This is important. Let's see how this is. It says, the bottom of page 259. It says the intention remaining until wudu is completed. What does that mean? Again?
Until you finish and complete your wudu, you essentially have to remain that I'm cleaning this part of the wudu
For the sake of Allah.
For Allah, to worship.
Tayyib. Is that clear? Somebody rephrase that. Rephrase that, huh? It says, I just want to read the English before we, because you got to figure, some people consider books like this that you read them on your own and khalas, right? It says the intention, the 5th condition for the wudu to be correct is the intention remaining until wudu is completed. What's that mean? You said it. Say it again.
Meaning, while you're making wudu,
Yes.
within the mix of it, the intention is, I'm not doing it to worship Allah. If you switch your attention for any reason, what's fine.
Wait, somebody else.
Just to add on what he said, like said, the intention has to be that you're making wudu until you complete it.
There you are. The intention has to be that I'm still making wudu all the way to the end. Meaning, I don't start making wudu and then I change my intention from making wudu to I'm just cooling off because it's hot outside. You understand? You with me? And you can't start in the middle. You start off cooling off because it's hot. Then you know what? Then once you get to your head, you say, you know what? I done did all my stuff. I'm gonna just make this my wudu. Clear? From the beginning to the end, the intention has to be for wudu. Tayyib, it says the intention remaining until wudu is completed. The intention of what? The intention that I'm cleaning these body parts because I'm making wudu so I can pray has to remain. That same intention has to remain from the beginning to the end of the wudu. So you can't switch your intention in the middle of the wudu and say, well, you know what? It is hot. I'm gonna just do the rest of my body because it's hot. I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone. All right? Yeah.
So you make a wudu, and this is an example. I'm giving. Say you look in the mirror and you're like, man, my hair is a little dry. Does that count as like the attention being switch. Like, even though you clean your face, but you look at your beard on, you get up in there, it's going a little dry. Like, I'm not cleaning it based off the narration or whatever. But
You look in the mirror, you make a wudu, you look in the mirror, and you notice that your beard is dry, so you go a little extra.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Now, what's the question?
No, basically, like I'm saying, because it said leave the attention the same. What I'm saying is, you know, make a do that clean your face.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm saying if you choose to do that, like I'm doing this because it looks dry. I'm not doing this for some or whatever the case is.
Oh yeah. Is cleaning the beard a part of wudu?
Submit to
I tell you, is cleaning the face a part of wudu? Like, is the beard a part of the face? Tell you, khalas. So now you gotta go in now next. How much of the face or how much of the beard has to be clean? Because we can say that about a bunch of the body parts. So really, I can wash all my body parts one time, and my wudu is fine, and that's my intention. But you know what? It's hot outside, so I want a little bit more water on me. So I'm gonna wash my body parts 3 times instead of 1. Is my intention of making wudu the same? You say no. What's my intention now? La. Wudu. I can make wudu and I can wipe my arm once. I can make wudu and I can wipe my arms twice, or every body part twice, except for the head is once. Or I can make wudu and I can do everything 3 times, like we all know. Like, I go to make wudu, and when I step up, I'm only going to make it 1 time. Usually at Dhuhr, I'm at work. When I make wudu, I'm usually making 1 time. I'm making lack of time. I'm in the bathroom, water on the mirror, and my foot. You know, might have to put my foot in the sink. People walking in and all that kind of stuff. I take my shoes off. You know how they go. If you walking in, and you got your whole arm in the sink. They like washing up, yo, right? Where you put, not alone if you put your foot in the sink with your socks off at work. So yeah, so I might do 1, right? And that's enough for the wudu to be valid. If I add on to how many times I wash my arms, that's not changing my intention of wudu. That's changing my perfection of the wudu. You with me? The bottom line of wudu is I have to do everything 1 time and completely do it. Not just do it. It has to be a complete wash of that body part. Nothing left dry on that body part. Like I say, you know what? I'm going to do more. What is constricted, what is within the circle of the Sharia, and go from washing 1 time to 2 times or 3 times. I don't have to do 2 or 3 times, and I usually don't for Dhuhr. But it's 100 degrees outside. By the time I get out there, I would like to feel a little breeze with the water. Right? It's still within the realms of making a wudu, and I don't have to do it, but I could do it.
But if it's not to warn, doesn't it we don't usually do it.
Right.
It's hot outside.
Right.
It's hot outside.
It's hot outside, yeah. So I want some extra water on me. Because that is the question is, if I do that, is the wudu still valid?
Okay, yes,
It's still, I did it once, which was my usul. The usul is I'm making wudu. That's my origin. I'm coming here to make wudu. Now, 1 or 2 things can happen. I can make it 1 time, and then after I'm done wudu, I can just throw water all over me, just on the strength. Right? Or I can change my intention and say, you know what? I'm gonna make it 3 times. Is it permissible to wipe 3 times when you're making wudu?
Yeah.
It's permissible. So I'm still within the realms of wudu. Clear? Like what happened? The problem is when I change from making wudu to just cooling off in totality. I'm not even making wudu no more. I'm gonna just cool off. So I'm gonna do all the body parts of wudu, and I'm gonna do some extra. I'm gonna wipe my neck, pour some over. I'm just right at that point. It's no longer considered the wudu. So number 5 is that the intention remains from the beginning of wudu to the end of wudu to do what? To make wudu for the salat or for whatever you get ready to do that need that requires wudu. Clear? Yes. Hold up, sis. I'm sorry. The brother reminded me next week, inshallah. We're going to get a microphone. So we get that because we got to turn the off. didn't hear you. Say it again. Was it? Yeah. It was dry. Right, I'm with you. You missed the part of wudu. That's coming. That's coming, all right? It's not in this section. It's in that section. Your foot, and then you see that it's dry or something's missing. We're going to get to that inshallah. Number 6. As-sadisu inqita'u mujib al-wudu. In order for the wudu to be correct, you can't start making wudu until whatever breaks your wudu has stopped. Let me see how it's translated before we say it again. It says, ceasing that which breaks the wudu. Like, ceasing that which breaks the wudu. That's on page 260. Ceasing that which breaks the wudu. What does that mean? Yes. Right. It's not about, y'all. This example is not about, well, who does that or how would you do that? If a person is going to the bathroom, right, they cannot make wudu while they're urinating. That's what this number means. You have to stop. Whatever breaks wudu, you have to stop that. It has to be ended. It has to be over before you can start making a fresh wudu. That person might say, well, who uses the bathroom and makes wudu at the same time? How do you do that, right? Is it possible? Is it possible to be in an area where you can use the bathroom and at the same time make wudu? It's possible. Whether you do it or not is not the issue. That's not the issue. I wouldn't do that. Is it possible? If a person tried to do that, would it count? It wouldn't count. Why not? Because from the conditions of wudu is that whatever breaks the wudu would have had to stop. Right? Clear? So a person's making wudu, right? I think we did this before. It seems like. Probably another book. Tell you, a person is at the sink making wudu, and they break wind. Oh, this might have been the sister's class. They break wind. If they break wind, they have to make wudu again, right? Person pass gas, you gotta make wudu. You can't pray until you make wudu again. Tell you, when can a person start making their wudu? If they broke wind, when can they start making their wudu? After they're done passing gas. So if it's a long, let's do it. This one of them. The love stuff. Yeah.
If you're in the mix of making wudu, you have to start over.
Yes. If you're in the middle of making wudu and you break wind, you got to start your wudu over from the beginning. Tell you, y'all crazy. Khalas. Or if a person is asleep and they sleepwalk, you might not sleepwalk. If a person sleepwalk and they go to the bathroom, they get in the shower and they whatever that they possibly do while they're sleeping, right? And they make wudu. It doesn't count. Why? You're not conscious. And sleep, y'all. Does sleep break your wudu or not? Sleep, huh? Deep sleep. Tell you, deep sleep breaks your wudu, right? Tell you. Deep sleep.
When I say that, I mean like the net, the brother take on the wall and zoom out. He's knocked out.
Does a net break your wudu?
All
right, so let's not say net, and let's not say deep sleep. Let's say leave it general. Sleep breaks your wudu. There's a type of sleep that doesn't break the wudu. So sleep breaks the wudu. Because now we got to break it down. A nap still breaks the wudu. A nap can break the wudu. So if a person was asleep, that means that sleep breaks the wudu. So you have to finish sleeping, which means you have to wake up first in order to start a fresh wudu. You can't make wudu if if a person is asleep. طيب السابع. Number 7. It says istinja or istijmar qablahu. That a person has to make istinja or istijmar. And it's translated like that. Istinja and istijmar before wudu. Wow. All right, so if a person's sitting home reading this and they read istinja, like we say, istinja, but we say stinja, just like that, stinja, right? It's istinja, So in Arabic, it's not that hard. It's not as hard as we think it is. Right? The shaitan keep us busy to make us think it's that hard. Like istinja. What is istinja? Because it says istinja is a condition for the wudu to be valid. So what is istinja? To clean the private area with water, right? To clean the private area with water after going to the bathroom. And this comes under izalat najasa, that anything from najis, from filth, Islamic filth, not filth like we say, the term we use amongst ourselves. Something is dirty, we say it's filthy, right? Islamically, that's not the same. Filth to us is like it's a filthy shirt. The ground is filthy. Because the ground is filthy doesn't mean we can't pray there. Islamically, it might not be the best place to pray, but if a person prayed there, would the salat be valid or not is a different story. Like, so the removal of filth, which just for example purposes, urine. Person goes to the bathroom, they have to clean themselves off with water. Istinja, the first word is cleaning with water before they can even make wudu, right? طيب. It says, or istijmar. What is istijmar? To clean yourself with originally stones or something like that. Tissue. In our time, tissue. But let's just say you was in a place, you went to make umrah. How many people made umrah before here? You made umrah? You made umrah? Like, you know, you're going from Mecca to Medina, right? You're on a bus from Mecca to Medina. It's desert. It's desert, right? It's a 4-hour ride through the desert. So yeah, you pull over to use the bathroom. You go in some of them stations, some Jones. It's not. One time we stopped, man. We was coming from Medina. I had my whole family with me. We stopped at one of the rest stations. My wife wanted to pray. I came out before. I'm sitting in the car. A donkey walked in to the sister's area. A whole donkey was standing outside. He didn't go in. He was standing outside the sister's door. A donkey, yo. I'm like trying to call my wife, like, yo, don't come out. So it could be crazy. Like if you go into the bathroom on the road, there's no tissue. There's no toilet paper. So a whole bathroom with 20 stalls, not one roll of toilet paper. All hoses, water hoses to clean yourself up. Right? Maybe the whole bath station, maybe the whole station is closed. So you gotta go over in the bushes or something like that. How you make a istinja? In that case, you might have to use stones. And it's a way to use a rock or a stone to make istinja, istijmar, the second word. Like when we home in the comfortability that we've been living in, then in that case, tissue, toilet paper. That a person cleans themselves after using the bathroom with water or with toilet paper. طيب. It says here, it says that wudu يشترط ذلك إذا وجد خارج من السبيلين وليس كما يظن بعض العوام أنه شرط عند كل طهارة حتى إن لم يوجد خارج. It says the wudu, the istinja and istijmar, cleaning with water or with tissue, is used when something comes out of the body part. Right? There's something that comes out of the private area. Whether it's a number 1 or a number 2, either one, right? He says for those two, not like, as he didn't say it, but not like you don't have to make istinja when you break wind, when you pass gas, right? Breaking wind, passing gas doesn't necessitate that we have to make istinja, that we have to clean with water. It's air, right? You have to clean with tissue. But you're gonna clean the air. How you clean your air with tissue, right? So it's for either urinating or the number 2. طيب. الثامن, number 8. طهورية ماء وإباحته. Using pure and permissible water. Using pure and permissible water. And it says, therefore, if the water contains filth, the wudu is not correct. Wudu is not correct. If the water contains filth, what type of filth could possibly be in the water? What type of filth could be in the water that prevents us from making wudu with the water? That if we look at the water and say, I can't use that for wudu, filth. Urine. We got to remember that filth Islamically is not just dirt, y'all. Not that the water is dirt, right? It's dirt, and like we say, that's filthy, that's dirty water. Why? Because it's not as clear as we would like it to be, as we used to it being. Filth Islamically is like najis, which is feces or urine or blood, right? If those things are in the water, then we can't use that water for wudu. The other things in the water, even if it's foggy and it's dirty, then there's going to be some detail connected to that, and that will be covered in Monday's class, inshallah. If something falls in the water, it changes the color of the water and all that kind of stuff. That's Monday's class is that. So in this case, that is no, just for clarity purposes, there's no urine in the water, no bloods in the water, there's no feces in the water. Or number 2, the water is not stolen. So you can't steal somebody's water and then use it to make wudu with. Clear? You can't steal water and then use it to make wudu. So what if somebody's selling? That's your problem? It's not your problem, right? You didn't know the water was stolen. But what if somebody stole waters and you know the waters are stolen, but you're just getting them at a good number? Is that your problem? Now that's my problem. This is ibadah. This is worship. This is worship. So if you know that they stole the waters, water is cheap by Allah's permission. You got 3 for 10s all the time in ShopRite and other places. There's no reason for the Muslim to be buying, I don't know what they call it now. We used to say hot. It's old. Buying stolen goods, especially when you're going to use it for worship, right? So we shouldn't be buying stolen goods and then we're going to stand up and pray to Allah on those stolen goods. That's a problem. You buy stolen water and then use that stolen water to make wudu. That's a problem. But he says, so a condition for wudu to be valid is that also it says التاسع إزالة ما يمنع وصوله إلى البشرة. And what does that mean? Jade, taking off a kufi. Can't wipe over your kufi when you make wudu. You can't wipe over your kufi when you make wudu. Like, or, like you said, lifting up the sleeve when you make wudu. I went back to one time, I saw a young boy, he was making wudu, wiping over his whole sleeve, making wudu. Right back here in the back. He was wiping over his arm. He was doing his arm, but he was wiping over his sleeve, right? You can't wipe over your sleeve. That's not the mess that's allowed, right? That's not the wipe that's allowed. So anything that prevents the water from reaching the skin, would you say, Shay? Nail polish. Whoa. Sisters, it wasn't me. Jay, we gotta talk about it. The halal nail polish. Number 1, nail polish. What's the problem with nail polish? Is it nail polish that is haram? Is nail polish itself haram? No, it's not nail polish that's haram. Because people want to leave and say, brother said nail polish, Muslims can't do nothing. Right? Nail polish, everything haram. No, nail polish not haram. There's a time when the woman is not allowed to use nail polish. Why? Because worship, fulfilling the worship, salat is a pillar. Islam is built on 5 things. The salat is one of the 5. Fulfilling the pillar is better than the beautification of the woman. If she's beautified and all of that and the salat ain't valid, Yom Qiyamah la yanfa. It's no benefit. So what's the issue? That the nail polish doesn't allow, what's the word? I think it's permeate. Is that right, sisters? It doesn't, huh? Yeah. Go through. Nail polish blocks the water from reaching the actual fingernails, and the fingernails are a part of the hand. And the hand is from the obligatory things that have to be washed and cleaned for the wudu. Now, is that clear with the problem with fingernail polish? Let's move on to halal fingernail polish, which they say, and Allah knows best, and that's on all of the sisters, that's on you. If you choose to use halal nail polish, that they say it is able to breathe, it's breathable, water can get through, inshallah, that's on you, Yom Qiyamah. You got to stand before Allah with that. You do run your test and all of that stuff and try it out. And if you do, alhamdulillah. I'm not saying the halal nail polish is halal. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that's on a person who takes that and they trust them. If you trust the people who did the studies and all of that, and you choose to do it, alhamdulillah. Which is, and I'm not saying it doesn't work, but for the Muslims, we need to understand that we're not in that time of 20 years ago, sisters. It's not 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when every time you saw a sister with nail polish, that you think she's crazy and her salat ain't valid. Because number one, she could have nail polish on. Why? She's not praying. She's on a menses. We don't get nobody the benefit of the doubt. Somebody got on nail polish, she shout out immediately. All right? She might not be praying. Or she might have just had a baby, postpartum. She's not, as they say, she's not in salat. All right? Maybe, mashallah. She might have made wudu before she put it on. She gonna hold the wudu all day. Maybe, Allah Akbar. Hey, man, everybody different.
So I didn't do that. So nail polish, as long as it's not while she's praying, if she beautifies, she can do that.
Regular nail polish is not the issue. The problem is how is she gonna pray when she has on a regular nail polish and make wudu like that or make ghusl like that? Right? That's the problem. Now, the new halal nail polish, like they say, or the breathable nail polish, inshallah, I'm not saying it don't work because I don't use it, and everybody just need to know that yes, they say, and people say it was test run and it works, alhamdulillah. But everybody just know that you use it at your own risk. Nobody forces you to use it. You use it at your own risk. Make sure that it is what they say it is. That's all. Play it. Also, brothers who work in construction, clay, they would work in paint on their skin, like that stuff has to come off. You can't just, because I'm out here working, if it blocks the water from reaching the skin, then that's a problem with the wudu. That's a problem with the wudu, not just for the sisters. Brothers working construction, they got clay on them, they get paint on them in different places, right? That has to be removed so that the wudu could be correct. Just like they have fingernail polish remover, right? It's stuff to get the paint off. I'm not going to say the name of it because it might be the wrong thing.
I got a question. I know, for example, you mentioned not taking pictures of that.
Yes.
Like with imam, where's that? You can wipe over it, right?
The imama or the lutra. We're going to get to that.
So my question was regarding if you can wipe over that, for example, something that we will do that. Can wipe over that. But if the
The things that can be wiped over when it comes to wudu have conditions. There's conditions to which you can wipe over. So even the things, the socks that we can wipe over, they're described. It's a type of sock, not all socks. The woman wiping over the khimar, there's conditions to her wiping over the khimar. The man wiping over, not the imam, not the lutra. The imam is one thing. The turban is one thing. The lutra is another thing. And generally, before we get to that, because we're going to get to The things that can be wiped over, generally, the reason for wiping over is because it's difficult to take it off, right? It's difficult to take it off, so therefore it's allowed to wipe over the things that are, right? So a kufi is no difficulty in removing the kufi. A lutra, the scarf that they wear, the red and white one or the white one, there's no difficulty in removing that. It comes right off, right? You with me? But we'll get to that, inshallah. It's coming in the next part. طيب. It says al-ashir, number 10. دخول الوقت الصلاة في حق من حدثه الدائم. We did this in class the other day. The entrance of the prayer time for those who constantly break their wudu. What does that mean?
So
Does anybody?
Somebody got a condition, and maybe they got to go to the bathroom all the time, and they can't keep the wudu, so they just do it when it's time for the salah.
Dang, you was close, Sheikh. They have a condition that what?
Like they keep urinating on themselves.
Good. They're urinating on themselves. Not that they got to keep going to the bathroom all the time, because you might drink a bunch of water and now you got to go to the bathroom all the time. That's not it. The condition is that they constantly have discharge, even when they're not trying to go to the bathroom. So throughout the day. So Methaline, for example, we won't pray till 8:45, 8:40, 8:45, right? It's 8:15. If they go make wudu now, if they go make wudu right now, and Maghrib is not in, it's not time for Maghrib. If they go make wudu right now, there's one discharge going to come out before Maghrib. Right? They might do that 2 or 3 times before the event. That type of person, this is the type of person who, in this case, it says for them, for their wudu to be correct, is that they wait until the adhan of Maghrib, wait until the entrance of the prayer time. Right? This is the type of person. It says the person who has urinary, I don't even know that word. What is that? That incontinent? We were talking about that the other day. You might see a word in English, man, that you don't. Yeah. Okay. Or, yeah. It's constant discharge, right? Urine. Or the one who continuously releases gas. Not that they're trying to pass gas. They can't control it. These are the people who should wait until the time of salat comes before they make wudu, right? It's lesser. It's let's just say, for example, even though after they make wudu, even though the adhan is at 8:30, we pray at 8:40, right? For example, they make wudu at 8:30, or they make wudu at 8:35. At 8:37, they might break the wudu again because discharge came out, but they can't control it. Clear? But at the least, they pray at 8:40 and only broke wudu one time. Or if they would have made it 10 minutes earlier, they might have broken the wudu 3 or 4 times before the salat. And at the end of the day, there's nothing they can do. So this is just to keep it as close to the salat time as possible. Clear? And this is a specific case for a specific type of people, right? That it's uncontrollable. Not like sometimes we drink more water than we usually drink that day, and then we have to keep going to the bathroom, right? Because we're going to the bathroom. We choose to go to the bathroom. But these people, this type of person, they can't control it. So yeah, that's the end of the conditions for the wudu, the 10 conditions. Any questions before we move on?
You said some years is discernment, right?
Yes.
What is the Arabic word for
Puberty is bulugh, bulugh, like the word bulugh al-maram, bulugh. So tamyiz is discernment, that's the age of 7, but puberty in Arabic is bulugh or baligh. The child is baligh. If the child is baligh, then they reach the age of puberty. If the child is mumayyiz, they reach the age of discernment, tamyiz, which is 7.
You said 8, like use of pure unconditional water. When you was talking about like stolen water, would it ever be like a condition to where it is permissible for them to use it, or it's when they, if like the ability to make moon water?
Say it again. Would it be a time where it's allowed to use
Yes.
stolen water for wudu?
Yes. Because water is not coming in, they couldn't make moon. They
Why couldn't they make tayammum?
How was that? Like,
The water's stolen.
yes.
It's time to pray.
Yeah.
I know that water is stolen, and I have to make wudu. Do I use that water?
This is enough.
No. Like,
It's ever a condition. That's what I said. Is it a condition?
is what a condition.
I said, would it ever be a condition where it would be permissible?
We walking through it. So now let's just say, so I make tayammum, for example. Like, nothing, I can't make tayammum. I got a skin problem. I can't even make tayammum now. Allahu A'lam. Allahu A'lam. Allahu A'lam. Allah's deed is easy. Allahu A'lam. Tayyib. What time is it? We got about 10 minutes. We can start the next section. Ad-Dars Al-Thalithu Ashr. Lesson 13, which is on page 262. The obligations of wudu. The obligations of wudu are not like the conditions. What is different about a condition of wudu or obligation of wudu? What's the difference?
Condition outside of
Hmm.
the obligation inside.
There you are. The condition is before we make the wudu. It's not a part of the wudu. Right? The conditions are not part of the wudu. Meaning, we said the condition was Islam. Islam, being a Muslim, is not part of making the actual action of making wudu. Clear? And the rest of the 10, they're not part of making wudu. A person having being in their right mind is not from the actions of wudu. So these are the things that are furud. They're obligatory to wash. And this is important. It's obligatory to clean these things for wudu. He says, Rahimahullah. Who's Rahimahullah? Who's the author of the book, y'all? That is Sheikh bin Baz, Rahimahullah, is the author of Durus al-Muhimma, important lessons. The Sharih, the explainer of important lessons, this explanation is by Sheikh Abdul Razak. So he says, Rahimahullah, Ad-Dars Al-Thalith Ashr, Furud al-Wudu, Here's 6 things that are obligatory to wash. 6 things that are obligatory to wash. Furud is the plural of farud. Farud is the obligation. These are not optional. He says the meaning of farud Islamically is ma umira bihi ala sabil al-ilzam. The meaning of obligation, according to the legislation, is a command that is mandatory. Is there a command that's not mandatory? It says here, the obligations of wudu. The meaning of obligation, farud, according to the legislation, Islamically, is a command that is mandatory. So, I'm understanding. And there's a command that's not mandatory. Is there a command that's not mandatory? It is. What commands are those? What is a command that is not mandatory?
Things that's recommended.
J, things that are recommended. So, the things that are recommended, we have recommendations, right? Saajid. Yes. Yeah. Like fasting, the voluntary days of fasting. Like that's a recommended. Fasting Mondays and Thursdays are recommended, right? But we gotta get Yom Ashura. Like, let's go back though. How do we get into the point of a command? Because a command means that Allah tells us to do something, or the Prophet ﷺ tells us to do something, right? When they tell us to do something, that means what about that thing that we're told to do?
It's a sin if you don't do it.
It's obligatory. That's what it means. Whatever we're told to do, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that means it is obligatory, right? Which here is translated as mandatory. Same thing, mandatory, obligatory, right? Because we've been told to do it. That's the origin. The origin, if we're told to do it, we have to do it. It's not optional. But yeah. Now the next issue is, it says here, a command that is mandatory, which means that the commands are broken down. When we're told to do things by Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when they tell us to do something, when Allah says do this with the command to do something, right? It does not always reach the level of being wajib. Sometimes it reaches the level of being sunnah or recommended. Clear? Not every command has reached the level of being that the action is wajib, right? But the origin is that when we see those commands that it is, but it doesn't necessitate that every command equals 100% that something has reached the level of being an obligation to do it, meaning if I don't do it, it's sinful and punishable. So here, a command that is mandatory. على سبيل الإلزام. There's no option. To make it clear, a command, fard, is a command that is not optional. It's not an optional command. This is an obligatory command. Tayyib. He says, and there's 6 things that have to be washed. And all of these 6 things come, if you want to memorize them, they call it ayatul wudu. Ayatul wudu. The ayat from Surah Al-Ma'idah. Surah number 5. Surah number 5, verse 6 in the Quran. Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 6. In this ayah, the things that are obligatory to wash, Allah mentioned them in this ayah. He said there's 6 things. Allah says, قال تعالى فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين. If you break that down, where's the verse? On page 263. Number 1, Sheikh said, how many things are obligatory in wudu? 6. Then he brings the verse from the Quran. It says, wash your faces. That's 1. Right? In your hands, forearms up to the elbows. That's 2. Rub by passing your hands over your heads. That's 3. And wash your feet up to the ankles. That is 4. Right? How many things did Allah mention in the verse? Sheikh said it's 6. You think about that. So yeah, that means it's 2 things that are considered to be from the obligations in wudu that are not mentioned in the ayah. Everybody clear? 2 things that are considered to be from the obligations of wudu that are not mentioned in that verse. He says this verse أوجبت الوضوء للصلاة. This verse has made the wudu an obligation for the salah. Right? And this verse also has clarified the body parts. التي يجب غسلها أو مسحها في الوضوء. This verse, it clarifies what body parts have to be washed or wiped. That's what the verse clarifies. طيب. And it also وحددت مواقع الوضوء منها. ثم جاءت السنة النبوية شارحة ومفصلة. طيب. This is important. The wudu, the verse makes performing wudu for the prayer obligatory. The verse clarified the limbs, the body parts that are obligatory to wash and wipe in wudu. And the verse also specified the boundaries of the wudu. How far do you have to wash the arm? How far do you have to wash the foot? Right? All of that's in the verse. And the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ further clarifies the ayah. So that's the ayah by itself. And then the way the Prophet ﷺ made wudu clarifies how we're supposed to make it. It clarifies the ayah like in action, with action. But clear so far? So right now, Sheikh says 6, and Allah said how many? 4. Who we going with, y'all? What statement takes precedence right now? What Allah said takes precedence. All right, Sahwallah. What Allah said takes precedence, Shafi. All right? You might say, well, how Sheikh gets 6? We don't get to how the Sheikh got 6. Rahimahullah ta'ala. Tayyib. Awalan, he says the first thing is washing the face. Now, Allah said wash the face, right? Which is general. It's general. It says here, Washing the face, including inhaling water into the nose and mouth. Is the nose part of the face? Nose got to be washed. Is the mouth part of the face? The mouth has to be washed also. It says, غسل الوجه ومنه المضمضة والاستنشاق. Washing the face, a part of washing the face for wudu is rinsing out the mouth. That's also from the face. And cleaning out the nose. Cleaning out the nose, which is istinshaq, is from wudu. Wal-wajh. Now let's get the detail. What's the face? How far does the face extend? This is important. What do you say, sister? MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Fuqaha. From the hairline. Tayyib, sis. Brother going bald. Where should he start at? MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Brother going bald. Where he start at? Where his hairline would normally start. Right? Brother's going bald. Where his hairline would normally start. It says, "Man tahsulu bihi al-muwajaha." The face is, we know what the face is. Min manabit sha'r ar-ra's al-mu'tad. It says where the hairline would generally start. Generally. Now, why is it mentioned generally, y'all? Everybody's hairline is different. It says the natural place of the hairline, mu'tad. What does that not include? What's an unnatural hairline? Not that he already went bald. What's a hairline that's not just the norm? What you mean?
Meaning like, I guess if they get a certain haircut or something to form their hairline like different ways.
Let's just say nothing. For example, brother's hairline, the normal hairline starts, you can see a portion of the forehead. What if his hairline comes like all the way down? All the way down here, right? That's a lot of hair. That's not the norm for a hairline, right? So you understand what I'm saying? Where does a hairline normally start is where, right, is where the obligation starts. Now, if he did the extra hair, no problem, right? But what if he had hairline down here on his eyes? That's not the normal place for the hairline to start. Where the natural hair? Should he do it? Should he do the extra hair on his face? To be safe. There you are. Yeah. I should have G used to always tell us, man, when it comes to worship, safer. Just be safe. Why are you gonna skip it? You already washing the hair, you might as well wipe it. It's a wipe. It ain't like it's gonna take extra work to wipe a couple extra hairs, right? And it's safer. طيب. He says, إلى من هدر من اللحيين. Going around where the hairline starts, going around, right? This is for the women too. Right? Going around, he says, وَذُقْنْ طُولًا وَالْأُذُنَانِ إِلَى الْأُذُنَانِ أَرْضًا. Going all the way around from ear to ear, ear to ear. That means you can't stop up here. Because some people take their hands, right? And they just do like this. Meaning, when they do this, they don't clean their whole face back to here. They take their hands and they put it like on the front, in the middle of their face like this. Which means all of this part of the face they leave dry, which is wrong. That's incorrect because the face is not washed.
So this part of the video, like you have to come around.
The limit of the face, like this. Not including the ear, before the ear. All the way down to the chin. Right? طيب. He says, وَالْبَدْءُ بِالْوَجْهِ لِشَرْفِهِ. He said, when Allah started off with the face, it says, Allah started off with the face. It says, the face is the first part washed due to its nobility. What does that mean? It says, Allah started in the verse. The first thing Allah mentioned that we have to wash for wudu is the face. It says the face is the first part washed due to its nobility.
That's the most honorable part of our body.
MashaAllah. That's the most honorable part of the body, the face. There's no getting around it. Everybody look in the mirror before they go outside because you know somebody's going to look at your face, right? MashaAllah. See, sisters is on the money. Y'all be lunching. Tell them again, sister. Aren't you supposed to start off wudu by washing your hands? MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Let me ask you a question, sister. Did Allah mention the hands? Did he mention it before the face? Oh, yeah. We're going to get to that, though. We're going to get to that. But she said, what? Pay attention. Pay attention. Because she's not wrong. You're not wrong. But what's the chapter? The chapter is what? Obligations of wudu. All right? The sunnah of wudu, the recommended acts of wudu is a different subject. The obligations of wudu, meaning, this is the bare minimum. In this section right here, this is the bare minimum we have to do for the wudu to be valid. All right? And we're going to come back to washing the hands before the face. Tayyib. MashaAllah. He says, وَأَمَّا غَسْلُ الْيَدَيْنِ فِي أَوْلِ الْوُضُوءِ فَلِلنَّظَافَةِ لأن الفرض غسل اليدين من الكف إلى المرفق يكون بعد غسل الوجه. It says, as for washing the hands first in wudu, then this is to clean them. And that's going to come again. That's going to come again. Because the washing of the hands from the fingertips up to the elbow is going to come again, right? We wash the hands inside of the wudu anyway, from the fingertips up to the elbow. But she's talking about before we wash our face, what about washing the hands then? The ayah doesn't mention that. And the fact that the ayah doesn't mention that, it lets us know that that washing of the hands is not from the what? Obligations of the wudu. Not that it's not from the wudu, but is it from the obligations of the wudu? Like the obligations of the wudu is what's mentioned in the verse, which mentioned in the verse. What was mentioned in that ayah, Surah Ma'idah, verse number 5, those are considered the furud, the obligations of the wudu, which is, if we can say, to make it clear, that's the bare minimum you have to wash in order for the wudu to be correct. It's like the skeleton. So if you miss any of these, if any of these are missed, the wudu is invalid. So he says, وَمِنْهُ الْمَضْمَضَ وَالْإِسْتِنْشَاقُ. From the face, including the face, is al-madmada, is to clean out, to rinse out the mouth, right? وَالْإِسْتِنْشَاقُ, and to clean out the nose. How do you translate that? To inhale water into the nose. Sniffing water into the nose and blowing it out is also from cleaning the face. It's also from cleaning the face. Why? Because the face is from, the mouth and the face is from, the mouth and the nose is from the face. And Allah said, فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ. Allah said, clean your faces, wash your faces, wash your faces. That's another thing. There's a difference between washing the face and wiping the face, y'all. The face has to be washed. The hair is to be wiped. When you wipe over your socks, you don't wipe your face. So you don't take the water for wudu, right? Like Sheikh Muhammad showed us. People take water for wudu, right? Drop all the water out their hand and then go like this. That's a what? That's wiping. That's not washing. You took all of the water, dropped all of the water, and then wiped your face. That's not washing the face. That will be when we do the hair, right? We take the water. We don't have to, when we wipe the hair and wudu, we don't have to take a pile of water and dump the pile of water on our head because that would be washing the hair, right? So if we're doing our hair, we do what? We cup the water, we let the water go, and then we wipe the hair, right? But for the face and the other parts that need to be washed, right? If it needs to be washed, it's incorrect to take the water, drop all of the water out, and then go like that and wipe the face. If you did that, what would that do to the face? It's parts that's still going to be dry. And if parts of wudu are still dry, the wudu is not correct. The wudu is not valid. Tayyib. They also say, using the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that we have to do the face and the nose, the hadith of Uthman. What time is it? We got to stop. And that hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, or the hadith of Uthman, to clean out the mouth and to blow the water out of the nose. The madmala is to rinse the mouth. Put water in the mouth, to move it around. You see people gargling. All of that's from madmala, cleaning the mouth out and spit it to spit the water out. Istinshaq is to sniff the water into the nose. And then the third word is istinthar, is to blow the water out of the nose. People not just doing that, y'all, just to be extra. It's from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Because some people walk by, they see people doing it, they think that's overkill. No. That's from the sunnah, from cleaning out or from cleaning the face, as Allah said. The command to clean the face includes the mouth and the nose.
As far as
We're gonna stop there, y'all.
As far as sniffing the water, is it a condition for like how much you have to sniff in? Because sometimes you know it can burn real bad to sniff too hard. Like, is it a condition for how much you have to sniff for?
You don't want to hurt yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
You sniffing water, the point is to blow, right? I ain't trying to be funny, I'm serious. Everybody knows it's different. Some people work in certain areas that's a lot of dirt in their nose, and they see it when they make, you know what I'm saying? Some people don't. So based on your situation, you need to use enough, the bare minimum, you want to make sure you put water in there to blow it out and clean it out. How much you go in can vary. There's no limit set on it. It has to be this amount of water that goes into it. There's no limit set on that. But what we do know is the inside of the nose has to be cleaned out. Allahu A'lam. Any other questions? If not, we'll stop there and pick up next week on number 2. Inshallah. Halas? What page is that? 263. So we start next week on 264. Inshallah. Halas. So sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.